Su decisión es su estabilidad. Qararik, İstirarik. Hoy nuestro tema es la importancia en la estabilidad emocional en la toma de decisiones. El no tomar decisiones significa no asumir responsabilidades, incluso dejar que otros decidan en nuestras vidas. Hoy nos hablará la doctora Lina Valero de Pedrosa, cirujana plástica. Comparte la clínica La Font con su esposo y sus hijos, mujer, madre, esposa, abuela y una gran profesional.
Being a professional lady in Colombia means you don't forget the essential way of being a lady. A housekeeping lady, a mother, a wife, and a professional in any of the professions you are able to do outside your home. That means, in my case, that I decided very young to be a doctor, medical doctor, then a plastic surgeon, then a wife, then a mother, and then a person that loves to have my family around me and make few family parties in my second house, my country house, where I enjoy the pleasure of cooking and being a chef for some times during the year. I really enjoy having friends and family around me, and I have the pleasure of make some beautiful dishes that were the common way of eating in my Spanish family. My father and my uncles come from Spain, and I keep those roots in the family and those ways of living. So we live in Colombia, but we keep some traditions as Spanish people. It is a great pleasure to be in your program today and to encourage ladies and people to come to Colombia, to visit us, to think that we are a country that deserves to be visited and to be known. Thank you very much.
Se escoge una opción y estamos seguros, excepto que nos digan y nos demuestren que estábamos equivocados. La señora Laura Ulloa González. La mejor decisión es poder cambiar de decisión. El amor y el perdón superan la tragedia. La doctora bióloga María Claudia Iglesias Villegas, con esclerosis múltiple, ejemplo de vida, escoge una opción que mejor se adopta a su vida.
Hello to Ana Cecilia, and hello to everyone watching Mariam TV. Thank you very much for this invitation. As always, it is a pleasure to be here sharing my story with all of you in Lebanon and around the world, of course. So my name is Laura Ulloa, and I want to tell you today a little bit about the toughest and most difficult decisions that I have to make in my life, and the consequences that these decisions had brought to my future. So first, I would like to say, I would like to talk about the most important decision that I have taken in my life. And I would say this was allowing myself to accept that sometimes the decisions you take are not the best. So when I was kidnapped when I was 11 years old by the FARC in Colombia. I thought during the first months, of course, I was in absolute denial. I was very sad. I didn't know anything about my future. I didn't know anything about my parents. And of course, I didn't know what was going to happen with me. I thought as an 11-year-old girl that the best thing I could do was to behave really bad. Perhaps if I did so, they would get sick of me and release me. Of course, this never happened. And the best decision I have taken in my life was actually accepting that this first strategy I had to say something was really bad and that I had to change. And in a way, changing this decision allowed me to cope much better during the other 5 months that I had to remain there. And what was my decision? My decision was simply, okay, they're not going to release me. This is my reality. I have to accept it. And I'm trying to change them. But maybe what I have to think about and what I have to do is I have to change myself to be able to adapt to this new circumstance of my life. And I believe in that accepting that my first reaction, my first decision was really bad, allowed me to take another decision, which was much better for me during the remaining months that I had left kidnapped. So I would say the best decision I have taken in my life was realizing that sometimes we can change decisions, that our mind has to be open always. Because, yeah, maybe there are some decisions we cannot change, but most of the decisions we take in our lives, in our daily lives, we can actually change them. And we have to be able to understand and to see when we're going in the wrong direction. So that would be it for me. Then, which was my level of responsibility with this decision? Well, I think it was a really high level of responsibility. It was responsibility with my own future, but also it was a very difficult situation because I was alone. I was kidnapped very, very far from my parents. There was no one there to help me, to give me an advice. Well, I would say no one, but the only one who was actually there was God. And it was a really nice moment of my life because it was a time when I became much more closer to God. And I would say that praying to Him, asking Him to help me take the best decision actually worked. And since then, I've been very close to God during every period I've gone through in my life, the good ones and the difficult ones. But the level of responsibility of this decision was very high, because it was not only a responsibility for me to be okay, but it was a responsibility in this decision for my parents as well, because my well-being was their well-being as well. And when we are kids, we never think about our parents' well-being because they are the ones who think about our well-being. But this situation changed my life in that aspect forever. Was this a good decision? I would say yes, it was a good decision. And I would dare to say it was not just one decision about one thing. This was a decision that even today I keep to myself. Even today, almost 20 years after what happened to me after this ordeal, now in freedom, I still make decisions every day, as you do as well. And sometimes I feel grateful for being able to understand and to accept that in the middle of a decision I have just taken, or a couple of days after, I am able to say, you know what, maybe this was not the best decision. Maybe I can change my mind. And having your mind open, as to say that you can change your decision, that you can maybe ask, that you can maybe, listen to that person who's trying to say that was not the right door to open. That has, for me, it has saved me from suffering, from taking really bad decisions, and from making others suffer too. What implications this decision had in my life? Well, first, I think it freed me from being a prisoner of my own decisions. Sometimes, and I would say this has also happened to me, I have taken decisions that were not the best, and I had suffered the consequences. But I believe that accepting that sometimes you just made the wrong decision, and accepting that on time saves you from a lot of pain and suffering, and not only you, but also people involved in that decision. How did I recover back stability? Well, something about decisions we make in our life, which is really interesting, is that many of them are not instant. They don't happen from a day to another. Their consequences, good or bad, come after a certain period. And so in my case, when I was kidnapped, the fact of changing my mind, I stopped trying to be the worst version of myself, when I understood that being kidnapped was out of my hands. I couldn't do anything about it. I could just accept that and wait and be patient and learn, in a way, learn from that experience, whatever I had to learn, not knowing when was I going to be released, or when will I be back at home with my parents. But accepting that my first reaction was wrong, that allowed me to change my attitude towards the gorilla. And instead of being the worst version of myself, I became again myself, which was a nice girl, a sad girl, very, very tired, feeling lonely, and accepting, what was I at that moment. And then beginning to know them much better, because I was with a bunch of people. I was with many gorillas, many men and women whom I thought were very different to me. But it became that I was also very, very different to them, to what they were used to. But we're humans. And at the end, we're also Colombians. We've gone through some similar struggles, all. And just allowing myself to open my mind, to know them better, to stop judging them, and just allow me to know them, changed changed completely the time that I had remained there as a hostage. It was sad from the beginning until the end. It was a torture for me, not knowing when was I going to be released, not knowing much about my parents, knowing that they didn't know anything about me. But at the end, being able to have a conversation with my captors, at the end, being able to know their stories, maybe helped me because time passed faster. I was able to talk to them, to communicate with them, and to learn from them as well. Because we have many things to learn from everybody, even our enemy. And I think that was very, very important and life-changing for me. So what advice would I say? What's my advice for you all? My advice will be to think well when you ever have to take a decision, but also sometimes to ask the right people around you. And if you have or you think there's no one around you that can help you, ask God, but also believe in yourself. I think even though I was alone, as I was saying before, I received first a lot of help from God, from my prayers, but also when I was taking my decisions, I was thinking a lot like my parents. When we're young, we believe we have our truth. We believe in our own truth. But in my case, I was so lost and so lonely that I became aware of all the things that I have learned from my parents. And I became aware that through those 11 years of my life, not knowing and not being conscious about it, I have learned a lot from my parents. And I tried to bring together the pieces when I was trying to make a decision, thinking about what would they do in this point? What would they do if they were in my shoes? And with my parents, with God, and also with my own instincts, I was able to take, I believe, a good or a better decision. And that's what I've done in my life. I think about my parents, I think about the people I love, I think about God, and I ask Him a lot to help me take the best decision, not only for me, but also for the people involved in that decision. And for sometimes it's difficult for me to listen carefully to what other people have to say. But that's very important as well, especially when the decision that you're going to take involves others. So try to listen, not to hear, to listen carefully to what the other has to say. And I'm sure that you will take a very, very good decision in your life when you bring all these pieces together. And of course, you decide from a basis of love and respect and freedom and generosity to you and to the world.
Hi, my name is Claudia. My full name is Maria Claudia Iglesias. I'm here to tell you the story of my life. I was born in Cali, Colombia, and lived there for 25 years and moved from there to Canada, to Montreal. In Montreal, I lived for 27 years. During that time, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, the progressive type, and this slowly brought me to being disabled. And now for 12 years, I have been wheelchair ridden, and I need help for the majority of chores for a normal life. Now, because of that, I'm living back in Cali. But before I start my full story, I would like to thank Ana Cecilia Juri, my school friend, and Marian TV in Lebanon for allowing me to participate in their program, which I think brings us all together. The physical world around me. I was born in Cali, Colombia. Colombia is located in the northwestern corner of South America. Because of its location and its topography, the Andes Cordillera, Colombia is one of the most diverse countries in the world. Cali is located in agricultural valley, about 1,000 meters above sea level, and we're very close to the equator. Then I grew up exposed to nature from the farmlands of my grandfather to trips we did to the Pacific Ocean and its jungles. I My love for nature I ended up expressing in a bachelor degree in the State University of in Cali with a degree in biology and with major in botany. Then I left to Canada where I kept studying and I did a master's degree in evolutionary plant biology. My love for taxonomy and communities brought me to being the assistant curator of one of the oldest research museums in Canada, the McGill University Herbarium in Montreal. In Canada, I met the love of my life, my husband Eduardo. We had two great boys, now adults and working. Around the time when they were 6 and 8, the greatest challenge of my life happened. You could even say that my life was split in two, before MS and after MS. And it all started 26 years ago when suddenly I started dragging my right foot. I barely made it home. It was really a scary experience. The next day, I went to my doctor and I left with a prescription for an MRI. And at the bottom of the paper, there was a note with two capital letters, M and S, and an interrogation sign. And I went home and I said, what in the world is MS? So I called my sister in the States, who is a medical doctor, and she told me MS stands for multiple sclerosis. It is a neurological disease with no known cause or cure. In that time, the literature stated that the cause was 60% environmental and 40% genetic. So my thought was, I can't do much about the genetics, but I definitely can do something about the environment. My doctors didn't have much to offer. At that time, there was a medication for the relapsing, remitting type of MS, the beta interferon. It reduced the progression and relapses in 30%. We did look at this alternative, but decided to take a more natural approach due to the long list of secondary effects and that the possible benefits were a doubt due to the type of MS I had. Plus, it didn't help to know that the effect of the medication could be variable according to the individual. So, changing the course of the disease using medications was left aside. A dietary strategy seemed more accordance to our possibility and to our thoughts. Initially, I came across the SWANK diet for multiple sclerosis, which reduced saturated fats in 20 grams a day. With dietary changes, we also changed our home environment the best we could. I tried many things that were reasonable and that had showed positive effects for others. We even tried being vegetarian for a couple of years, which did not work either. Disability kept progressing. Then I came across the work of Ashton Embry. He is a Canadian researcher whose son got MS at 18 years of age. In his research, he developed the best bet diet, which is a dietary strategy for the managing of multiple sclerosis. He suggests that food allergies originated from the gut, part of the leaky gut syndrome, may lead to MS. The idea behind it is that the inflamed gut allows protein pieces or other food particles to enter the circulation, where the immune system identifies them as enemies. These sequences found in the food then are identified by the immune system in order in other parts of the body, bringing the attack to these regions. This is known as the mimicry theory, which has gained support recently as an explanation to MS and other autoimmune diseases. Dr. Embry, at that time, organized with the American lab a panel to test antibody production for 200 food groups. With my physician, I sent my blood sample, which came back with allergy to all of them in certain degrees, but two. The worst were milk, eggs, and wheat. From that time on, I eliminated dairy and eggs. I definitely can see the improvement. The no regular headaches are gone. The seasonal hay fever just disappeared. And the best of all, after a whole year, my my sense of smell came back. This is fantastic. And I can smell so much easier now. But the progression of disability continued. Lately I came to the book called The Walls Protocol. The author, Terry Walls, is a medical doctor who had MS for 8 years and healed herself using diet, exercise, and spiritual practices. At this moment, I am doing a mixture of one, eliminating my major allergens, wheat, dairy, and eggs, and second, a paleo diet as proposed by the Terry Walls Protocol. For the last years, it has been relatively, I have been relatively stable, but there has been a very, very slow progression of disability. It has taken a long time for me, but I've learned something in this path of mine. I've learned that things that might work for others don't necessarily work for me, and that we are all unique and we must follow our inner voice to know the way. So the mind is a tool and our heart is our way. Part two, the energy world around me. The question here will be, how do I deal with the health challenges that life has given me emotionally and psychologically? In the first part, I talked about the physical modifications that I did to my environment and to the way we were living. Now I would like to complement the physical with the energy part of everything. I will only touch the part of us within us, like the chemical and the electrical and emotional parts. This energy is what gives us hope and moves us. But this energy can be limited by the choices we make, the physical and emotional choices that we make. I found that one of my greatest challenge was fear. Fear of being disabled, fear of dying, and fear of being alone or disconnected from others. The fear of dying. Like my teenage son said one day in his anger with my situation, "Mom, you're dying," he told me. And I was shocked. I had nothing to answer to that. Yes, it was true. What does life really want of me? Should I surrender to this call? I looked, I I kept working with this question. And one day we went out canoeing to the edge of the St. Lawrence River in Montreal where we lived. While they were setting the canoe, I was standing under a 100-year-old tree, an enormous one. And I asked, with the voice in me, I asked myself, Claudia, what do you want? Are you dying? And the voice in the tree, the voice in the river, the voice of the wind, of everything around me was saying, we are alive, sang a song to life. And in that moment, I chose life. I chose to be life. And I've chosen life ever since. Even if disability has slowly crept in, I still am life. Okay, the fear of being disabled. Even now, I have fear sometimes of being disabled. I would panic every day, seeing how I lost strength and how my movement slowly got limited. Looking out the window one day, I saw a flock of pigeons. There was one that had a broken leg, and you wouldn't even notice. It was going around just like the others, wobbling, cooing, and pecking. I need to be like that pigeon, I thought. No judging or comparing myself with others. I just be myself. Be in the now and let go of the past and the future. Yes, the ideas are clear. But as you know, fear never goes away totally. It's part of our humanity, part of our survival as humans. But you can decrease it by knowing that we are not alone and we are supported if you're open, obviously, to it. But when I hear the voice of judgment, and I then choose to be understanding with myself, loving and caring, compassionate, making the best of the moment I'm in. If I'm open to these thoughts of compassion, connection, and peace slowly flows in. With practice, you start getting better and better. At the beginning, it begins to be a state of mind. For now, I'm working always working on being present, knowing I'm not alone, not judging myself or others, working every day on the knowing that my thoughts are my tool by which I can give myself peace, security, and connection. I can reduce fear and create joy. If I am in peace, happy, and joyful, the great question is, shouldn't my physical body follow my conscious lead? This is my personal experiment. What is yours? Okay, post data. Not only do I work myself spiritually, but I work part-time with a plastic surgeon here in Cali with his international customers and in his webpage. I also participate as much as I can where I live in the condo board of directors and the gardening committee. My conclusions. Who am I? I am unique, and I think so are you. I am life, and so are you. I am one, and so are you. And finally, everything is tied with love. I do hope that one day you start your own experiment and that we'll have a chance to compare our results. Bye for now.
Cometer errores y arrepentirse de alguna de las decisiones tomadas es parte de vivir la vida siendo protagonista. Nos lo cuenta la señora Sandra Aristizábal.
Hello, my name is Sandra Cecilia. I live here in Cali from Colombia. I would like to thanks to Ana Cecilia Juri for all the invitation and Marianne TV. Okay, I used to live in United States and I have a very difficult care because I have 3 back surgeries, and those surgeries at the latest, the last one, I has put a spinal cord stimulator in my cord. And what happened? Well, they say you can walk now, but then in that moment I didn't realize why I supposed to live, why I supposed to have a future. But then the depression came and something changed. This what you see right here is my dog. She's Mocha. And the whole story began. In one part of my life, I decided that was enough. I came back to Colombia because I got a divorce, and then I got something different. My life here was full of love, my family and friends, but the bad part of it was the dogs are not allowed here in Colombia in every place. And they didn't know. The Mocha isn't a service dog. A service dog is a dog who has to be with you all the time. And she has to come with you. She was to wake up with me and go to sleep with me. If I go to the restaurant, if I go to a food store or somewhere else, I have to go with her. But nobody knows about it. They thought that it was just another dog, and they refused to let me go in. In that moment, all my life started to change again. The depressions began. I feel really bad. I start to consume again medications, and I start to do a lot of wrong things because I didn't go out. I did no work outside. I'd rather to stay at home and inclusive. Separate from the life from my family and for all my friends. In one part of my life, I was very depressed, and I feel that I can live more, and I inclusive began to think in the suicidal. But everything is perfect. I start to believe that something has to change, because I say everything that happens in your life is for something good. So I finally react and I find a purpose to my life, to begin to share that, to share what I have, to share that an animal can help you out with a lot of things, not only as a guide dog. See, if inclusive help you out with the anxiety, with the depression, with the people who doesn't have any help, they can help you out to open the door, to open the drawers, to do a lot of actions. In that moment, I realized I have something to do here in Colombia. Not only that I came to care for my dad and my mom and me and begin a new life, and I believe in that moment that I was really low, I started to do a different job. A job that I can give to everybody else a position, an opportunity to help themselves knowing what they need. I connect with my inside and with the superior for me is God. And in that moment, I start to create new positions here in Cali. I decide to go out. I decide to go outside with my daughter to introduce her in the society, to go to the restaurants, to go to the hotels, to start to work for too many people who wants to have their company of the dog and believe why they are helping them. Well, the result of this is that now on there is an obligation for the public transportation to accept all the dogs, all the service dog, assistant dogs, and even the therapy dogs. So, well, I start to make the inclusion of the service dogs in all the public system, because no one and nobody before in the all countries, this is about the whole Colombia, have to go inside with a dog to a hospital. Well, we did something. We made it. And in that moment, when I arrived with Mocha to the hospital, everybody was happy. Everybody was like, what is going on? And this is happening, the dog here. And the all pediatrics was just like a show. There was something amazing. But the most beautiful thing was when we arrived and all the kids changed. All their faces change. They start to smile, they retrieve, they feel love, and the same thing that I feel, they feel it right now. Well, from that moment and now on, we start to do visits. We have a long work with the hospital, with the people who works there, with the doctors, with the specialists, but they decided this was the best for their kids. So we began all the therapies, all the visits that they convert in therapies, and now is where you can see all the work that we have been doing. We arrive with different kind of work, dogs, we arrived there with different dogs and we make some activities. Those activities are easy, but we help them to improve themselves, to have something different about to think. And what happened with their health is the whole immune system start to get better, because they don't feel the pain, they feel better, they are thinking and other things, and then their family have a release because their moms, at that moment that we go to the hospital, their moms go to do something else, and we start to do work with the kids and help them out. Okay. All that you're gonna see in those pictures, in those videos, is so beautiful, because how come with something so easy that is to share your life and say to the people, hey, this is happening, this is how I live, this is what I do, is helping to other ones. That's the point that I do not have any reverse in my life, and I decide to make a project, a big project, who decide for the future of myself and the too many others.
Good morning, cordial and affectionate greeting to all. My name is Juan Pablo Restrepo. I am pediatrician coordinator at the General Pediatric Area from the Feghali University Hospital in Colombia. And today, I want to tell you a great and beautiful experience that together with Pasos Foundation, we call it Activity Assisted with Animals, Junior Alegría. The magic of dog in the life of a hospitalized child. A furry angel that brings magic and hope in his encounter with the child. They brings joy, happiness, smile, and love. The best medicine for health. Remember, love is the best medicine, and these beautiful dogs are love. God bless you.
Hi, my name is Mario Angulo. I am a pediatric endocrinologist working in Cali, Colombia. I know Sandra Aristizabal long time ago, and I admire all her work, assisting patients with dogs and all the reading she does with the patients, giving them a very good company. We hope that she can be with us soon. Thank you.
And we got something really, really good. We changed the code, the national police code, were allowed to every single different kind of dog to be allowed in every public and private places. So that change opened the whole story to everybody else, everybody who needs not only because the physical problem can be mental, emotional issues, or physical. So we are making an inclusion for every disability that any person can have. All this has made a big change in my life because made me feel that I can help others, give me and inspire me to do more for my people, to do more for my community, not only thinking myself or my benefits, believe in that everything is perfect, believe that every single person that has come through my life is helping me out to create a better future. When I start to believe in myself, I start to give love and to be unconditional help to others. And in that moment, my life has changed. In that point where I was too down and deeply depressed, I decided that I discover a new world for me and make a promise to myself and to God that I will never give up in this work, because at this moment I feel that my health has improved, that I have begun to be a better person, and I can do a lot of more things for everybody here in Cali and Colombia. Just being good, being an example for everybody else, and be proud of what I am. Because in the moment that you are proud of what you are and what is your position, what do, you are a better person.
¿Qué es lo realmente importante en la toma de las decisiones? ¿En qué debemos basarnos para tomar decisiones que verdaderamente impacten positivamente en nuestro crecimiento personal? Nos lo cuenta la señora Jenny Mansur.
Hi, my name is Jenny Mansur. When I was young, I used to be a beauty queen and a model, and now I am behind the scenes. I am a third generation of a Lebanese immigrant, so I have half of my blood is Lebanese. What a beautiful country. Every country that I have been, either Colombia, United States, and the country of my ancestors, are very beautiful countries. Okay, now let's talk about what we came here to do. We're going to talk about decisions, where your decisions take you in life. Either these are good decisions, painful decisions, or very good decision. Okay, I'm going to start with the first decision that I had to take. And it was when I was young, and I just had won the Model of the Year pageant. And I've been working all over Colombia, traveling in runways, pictures, commercials. But my dream was to go to Paris, to be in the runways with the best designers. But guess what? I fell in love. And then it came my first decision. What do I do? Do I go to Paris and pursue a career in modeling, or do I get married? In those days, and with my boyfriend at that time, he didn't want me to work. And in Colombia, it was not seen very well that, you get married and you pursue a career. So I had to take this decision. Put my dream aside and then get married. But let me tell you, this was a very rewarding decision. Even though I had to put my dreams aside, and sometimes these days when, I have my moments alone, I start thinking, what would be my life if I'd been in Paris modeling? But because of my decision, I got a beautiful reward. And it was a family and my children. And then it came my second decision. This one was a very scary decision, but this decision was going to define the future of my family. It was the 80s when there was a lot of kidnapping in Colombia. And we started hearing the rumors that my oldest son, by that time I had 2 sons, that my oldest son that was 8 years old was going to be kidnapped. Then with my husband, then we have to think a lot to see what was the best decision to take. And this one was a very horrifying decision because of the situation. In one hand, you had the situation, and in the other hand, it was the fear of the unknown. So I had, at that moment, I made the decision. We made the decision to leave Colombia and go to live in the United States. It was a very hard decision because, you have to leave your family, your friends, your environment, and then you have to go to, a country that you don't know the culture. You have to learn the language. You have to know the laws, the rules, and how does, the things work in the country. And I had to be there alone because my husband had to commute because Colombia and Miami, because the work was here in Colombia. So I was alone. That decision came with the responsibility to raise my children and educate them alone. But I'm very, very happy at these moments that I made that decision. Even though there were times when I was lonely, there were times when I was missing my family, but it was for the good of the whole group, for the safety of my family. So that decision took us to a road of a different country. When I think about the times of that decision, it comes to my mind all the immigrants, how my grandfather had to leave his country, his people, and everything that he has seen all his life to go and seek for a new life. So I can relate a lot to the immigrants, all the Lebanese that live around the country. How, you miss your country, your family, but at the same time, because of that decision, you have to adapt to the new way of living. And then it came my third, and I would say the most difficult of all the decision, because it was going to change my whole life. So my third decision was to get a divorce. Due to the fact that we had to go and live in the United States, and then my husband was working in Colombia, and he came on the weekends to see the family, and it started to become very painful because you started living 2 different lives. I was a mother raising a children, and he was a businessman just working. And this type of life started breaking our relationship. Until finally, we were in disagreement how a married life should be lived. And I'm just going to leave it there because, we shouldn't talk bad about the people that is not present, not even good, because they're not in the place with us. But the only thing that I can tell you is that we started having differences about principles, about what being married meant, and the sacrifices that we had to take. And once you make a decision, you just have to go and walk in the way that you decided to go. And this was a very painful decision. I felt that my life was broken. I felt that sometimes that I had no identity, because one thing is being, a married woman, a mother with a family, and the other is to be, a divorced woman. And it's very painful. My heart was broken. My heart was into pieces. It took me a lot of strength and effort to put myself together. And with my ex-husband, with this decision, thanks God, we decided that we're going to be good parents for our children. So due to that decision that came from the previous decision, so far I have a beautiful family, and my children can have their mother and their father. But each decision in life has consequences. Either it's a good decision, a painful decision, a bad decision, a difficult decision. That decision brings you to a path that you have to leave everything behind and just look at the way where you decide to walk. So I hope that these 3 decisions to come to a conclusion. First, a decision either to pursue a career or to form a family, that it was difficult, or either a very scary decision, that is to leave your country and go to live in a country where everything is unknown, and a painful decision, that is to break a marriage, but not breaking the family. That's important. Even if the relationship as men and women doesn't work, the relationship as parent is sacred. And we have to maintain that blessing that we receive from God, that is being able to be parents. So I hope that these 3 decisions that were so important for me can help you in any way, that you can relate to any of the 3 decisions, and they can help you in your personal life. And for me, it was an honor, and it was a blessing to be able to go back and see where those 3 decisions took me. And today, I can talk about myself like a happy woman, because I came to terms with my decisions. Now, I work behind the scenes. Now, I'm not a model. I'm not a beauty queen, but I do teach. I teach etiquette. I teach image, and I teach either to children, to professionals, about the personal image and how to project yourself in society. So I feel very happy that I can teach others what I was blessed to be a part of. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Hoy nos enseñaron a través de sus vivencias, cómo una acertada decisión los llevó a lograr una estabilidad y cómo asumieron los errores y comenzaron otra vez de nuevo. Nos lo cuenta Yolanda Guerra y Andrea Aljure Doronsoro.
Hello everybody, I am Yolanda Harb Guerra. My grandparents came from Lebanon a long time ago. My grandmother were from Beirut and my grandfather was from Rakbe. I have so many friends here in Colombia, Lebanese, and also I have so many friends in Lebanon and relative, and also have so many friends in London. I send to them all my love. I want to talk about me. I am a lawyer, and also I had a specialization in financial side, and I've been CEO of so many companies, like insurance company, and in the banking side as well. And also I work as a controller in Caracol TV, which is a Colombian broadcasting, and then decided after all this year having a lot of experience, and decided to start up with a Lebanese group, which I've been very happy because all my experience I put it in this startup, and it's been successful. It's going to be 3 years in April, next April, and I have to tell you that I'm very happy to have taken this decision. And now I send to you all my love, and very thanks, many thanks to have this interview with me. Bye.
Hello, I am Andrea Aljure. I was born in Cali, Colombia in 1967. I am half Colombian, half Lebanese. My Lebanese heritage comes from my grandparents, Aref Najem El Juri and Tamen and Dari, who came from Fur Al Arabi in 1928. They arrived to Colombia to the Buenaventura port, and they settled there, where they created a family. My grandmother was always in the kitchen, and I loved to go to her house and run around with her while she cooked different Arabic plates. I remember the smell of the gravies. I remember the grape leaves. I remember the labne. I remember the textures, the smells, the flavors, and my passion for food comes from that time. In the year 1996, Colombia was submerged in a wave of violence derived from the war between drug cartels, the state, and the guerrillas. At that time, my daughters were 4 and 2 years old, and I was very concerned about them being brought up in such a violent environment. My Spanish husband and I decided that it was better to leave Colombia and raise our kids in Europe. In around the year 1998, we moved to Europe, and my life changed completely. A whole new perspective opened, and I think that that's the most important decision the most transcendent decision that I have ever made until this point in my life. The dynamic of my life completely changed for me and my family when we moved to Barcelona. We were very lucky to be in a small town near the ocean and with a very nice quality of life. For the first time in many years, I felt safe, and I felt that my daughters were in a very controlled environment. As soon as they started school, I enrolled in cooking academy, and I got trapped instantly in this world of creativity. I was very lucky to have incredible professors and colleagues. A whole new world opened for me, and now I was being able to create my own dishes. At the same time, I started working with my family business that it's a candy manufacturer, and I started traveling throughout Europe, Russia, Sweden, France, Poland, Czech Republic, and started marketing our candies. I also opened markets in Asia, China, Iran, Arab Emirates. So I was not only working, but I was learning a whole new gastronomy, and I was complementing my cooking studies with all these new flavors that I was experiencing in these different countries. Learning these new cooking techniques, having such fresh ingredients, were a whole new experience for me. This Mediterranean fish, freshly caught from the ocean to the plate. I had never worked with that type of fresh ingredients because in Colombia it's very difficult to maintain the cold chain between the ocean products and the transportation. So I combine these fresh ingredients with these cooking techniques such as vacuum cooking, combining the fresh ingredients that I found in Barcelona, such as fish and different ocean products, with new cooking techniques that I didn't know that existed, such as vacuum cooking and the firewood oven and the barbecue. I experienced a new way of cooking, a new way of enjoying my friends in the house while I cooked. Moving to a new country is not easy. It is a very complicated decision, and I am very proud of my grandparents as they decided to make that long journey from Lebanon to Colombia by boat in 1928. And it's an example. It takes courage to leave your family, to leave your house, to leave your friends, but I strongly recommend it when the circumstances you're living in are not the ideal to raise a family. So if I had to make the decision again, I would definitely move and try to find a better life and a safer life for the people you love. When you're far away from your family, many days you feel lonely, you feel sad, you miss them, but I was very lucky that I could see them many times a year. They would come and visit, and I could come back to Colombia to visit. I hope that many people that are listening to this program today will come to Colombia, as it's a great country and it's a safe country again.
Agradecemos su valiosa participación para compartir sus experiencias. Su decisión es su estabilidad. Qrarك إستقرارك. Nos lo cuenta Natalia Barrero de la Asociación Cultural Femenina.
Hi, I'm Natalia Barrero, lead of Juventus Social Program, a space which has filled thousands of Colombian women with hope. We have been able to reach several remote places where there is no assistance or help. This has been possible through universities' scholarships, promoting entrepreneurship projects, and training in personal and technical skills. Today, we are reducing inequality gaps. I would like you to know more about us. Don't miss the next video.
Colombia is a Latin American country that has been ranked second worldwide for its biodiversity. It has two oceans, the Atlantic and the Pacific. It is among the countries that have the highest number of ecosystems. Although it's got such a natural richness, if you look closer, you'll see that we are a nation suffering the burden of profound social inequities. Only 4 out of 10 young people get a chance to access higher education. If we don't act now, the barriers to access education will increase for young people who have to survive with low-income jobs. People living under these conditions comprise for more than 60% of all cases. This is why we need you. One out of 2 young women will continue suffering due to income inequities, and it is very likely that because of this situation, at least 1 out of 5 women under 18 will have to face the challenging burden of teenage pregnancy. Poverty and the lack of education are the major barriers to achieve education and equality in our country. That is why the Female Cultural Association was born. We are a non-profit organization that for the past 55 years has been working to provide opportunities for women in an effort to reduce social inequities. We have been transforming annually the lives of 2,200 girls and their families. We've done so by providing them with very strenuous spaces that encourage them to create a sustainable life project and to be agents of change, closing gaps with financial aid and higher education opportunities. We have reached many corners of our country with our social program Juventus, which shelters girls and women from 12 to 25 years of age who access scholarships for higher education and develop work and entrepreneurial skills. Juventus is a hotbed of leadership. We accompany them and help them create a life project that allows them to transform their lives. We strengthen their self-esteem so that they feel that they can. We are their voice. We work day by day with the support of hundreds of people like you to help us close the gap of social and labor inequality that is affecting young women in Colombia, so that Lucia can change her environment, and that Angie can fulfill her dreams, and Mafe can live protected, and Nicole can break the chain of poverty. That is why we are here, and we will be until the end. We will not give up. We believe that together we can change everything. They can change everything. We stand together to build a better life for our girls, for their future. Will you stand with us?
Thanks to Juventus, I got a 50% of a scholarship to study more languages when I found out it was the happiest day of my life. And now I'm studying what I've always dreamed of. And that's what Juventus achieves, filling women's lives with hope.
Education is power, and that is how I feel powerful. Thanks to Juventus, I started studying systems engineering with a half scholarships, and then the university graded me the remaining. This opportunity is something that I value every day. I feel lucky, and I wish that more women have the same opportunities.
Hello, my name is Diana. I'm about to finish my studies in economics at the Catholic University, and it wouldn't have been possible without the help of Juventus and everything I learned at the social program, and it shows that the opportunities are possible to achieve and the future is possible to be changed.